What's up, kids? Hey, Clark Center. Hey, Jill. Yes. Today's gonna be a good one. Let's let the kids come into the room. Happy Friday. Hey, Bobby Bell. Uh-oh, my connection is poor. I don't know what that's about, but I'm on my Wi-Fi, so we'll see what happens. How are you guys feeling? It is Friday. It's Friday. I'm happy it's Friday. Hey, Stephanie. Yes. Well, I have an amazing guest today. Dwight. Oh my God. Hi, Dwight. Let me turn my music down just a little bit. So I have an amazing guest with us today, my good, longtime dear friend, Scott. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with my Wi-Fi. Maybe it's the weather, I don't know. But we are gonna see if we can get through this. So if at any point you guys, I freeze up or anything else happens, let me know. But yeah, so we're gonna get right to it. I'm gonna bring in our guest, Mr. Antonio Carlos Scott. He's fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. So let me go find him now. Yes, I am so excited. Boom and boom. Let's see what happens today, kids. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And we have a new president. Yes, we do. Okay. I hope you guys are doing good.
I should have listened to you and not use my iPad. That's the problem.
Oh no.
It worked last night. Hold 1 second, because I got to get my...
It's okay. I'm going to just talk while you're getting set up. I think, I don't know, I think we might be having some technical glitchiness, but it's okay. We're going to get through it. But while we're waiting for Antonio to get clear, I, for one, am happy with, you know, what's happened this week. Obviously, we still have a lot going on with the country. But we'll get through it.
Okay, I'm here.
Are you
Hopefully
there?
I'll stay on. Can you see me?
Yes. Oh, you keep freezing up. We're going to see what happens. But in the meantime, how you guys doing? So while Antonio Carlos Scott is getting set up, first of all, he has had an amazing career, and I have so many questions. Because, you know, as long as I've known some of these amazing individuals, there you are.
Okay, I'm here. All right. I'm not going to touch another thing.
Antonio Carlos.
Just grinning from
laughing. I don't even know
grinning
why.
From ear to ear.
Yes, well, you look beautiful as always. And you just told me like half an hour before that you were driving with the top down.
That's the gift of living in Florida at this late point in my life. I have a convertible. My wife let me get one about a year ago. So. Oh.
Wait, let me see if I can turn you up just a little bit more, because I'm probably going deaf from all the years of going to rock concerts, but it's all good. In any case, happy Friday to you. Thank you for doing my show today. I can't. Like, looking at your bio, I realized there was so much that I didn't know in all these years. I'm happy to hear them now, and I'm excited to talk to you because, oh my God, what a career you've had.
The truth is, I'm so fortunate for a variety of reasons. But until you put things to paper, sometimes you forget the breadth of all those wonderful experiences, right? Which has been one of the advantages of social media right now, just being able to reconnect with people from your past and experiences from your past. And even as I was digging in my boxes that are stowed away in the closet to pull up pictures, I was finding programs. My mother kept everything. I have every PHILADANCO program of every show she ever saw. I mean, right?
Oh.
And every show I did in high school through college. And so I've got this little treasure trove, but I don't go into it because it's in the closet. But as I went and pulled it out, I was reminded of so many different things. And
of course.
Particularly, as you said, the breadth of wonderful experiences I've had as an artist And now I'm in my 20th year as an educator in the public school system.
I mean, and I want to get to all of that. And even though I think Instagram recently extended their streaming to 4 hours, which I think is crazy, but okay, great. We will keep it to 60 minutes. That way I can archive this to IGTV after. Dwight's watching, Waddy's watching. I mean, so many good friends of ours. But just to give everyone the backstory, so.
I see my aunt is on here too.
Oh,
Hi, Lexa and Sarita Allen. Okay.
Yes, Sarita.
Now I can see the name. Hey, Roscoe, what's up?
Yeah, it's just awesome. So I started dancing with PHILADANCO. I think it was 1986, and one day I was in rehearsal with the late great Gene Hill Sagon, and he said to me, "Danny, I'm going to bring you a prince. I've met a prince for you." I was like, all right. But what he didn't know is that I had already seen you at the University of the Arts, like peeking in. Because, okay, so kids, back in Philly, back in those days, I went to Performing Arts High School that at that time was, I've said this before, attached to the University of the Arts. That high school no longer exists. It was a small academy, but Antonio Carlos Scott. He was maybe 1 or 2 years older than me. I don't know. But so our classes, our studios were combined and we shared buildings. And I would see him walking through the halls. Okay, listen, kids. Y'all saw the pictures I posted. Okay.
I can remember you vividly standing in front of what was that, 313, which was where most of your high school classes were, right?
Yes.
And you'd be standing out there with a couple of your classmates, those hyperextended knees of yours and those beautiful bright eyes. And I was like, who is that girl? Now, you know, I was already dating somebody in the high school that year who was a few years behind you, but I had no business looking at young people, right? But I do remember those beautiful hyperextended legs, and I remember specifically the first time I met, as you already mentioned, the late great Gene Hill Sagan.
Yeah.
It was 1986. In fact, I had just come back from a trip to Jamaica, a vacation, and it was like early October, maybe end of September. And I don't know if you remember back then, I used to wear the do-rag on top of my head all the time, right? So I had that rag on my head, and Gene always wore one on his head, right? Mm-hmm. And he came in, he said, I want you to dance for me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, don't you want to see me dance first? No, I can tell.
He was so beautiful at that, and knowing exactly who he wanted to work with, but also how to pull things out of you, right? But before we talk about Gene, because that's a whole section I want to get to, I really want to start, you know, you born and raised Houston, Texas, right? You're a Texas boy, right?
Well, I was raised there, but I was born in Northern California, where I lived till I was 9 years old.
Okay.
And then, I got a lot of deep Texas roots.
Right. So what was the decision to go to Texas for your family?
Both of my parents are from Texas. My mom was from Fort Worth, and my mom was white. My dad was black. He grew up in Houston. Most of my dad's family was from Louisiana, but they had migrated. You know, during the Great Migration, many families left the South and either went out to California, Chicago, Ohio, New York. And mine chose to go just a few hours south, or north rather, to Texas. And so my dad's family flew out. I think it was my grandmother. Keep in mind, I was like, from the age of 1 till I was about 5, my grandmother would come out, or one of my uncles or cousin, they would come out and tell my dad, you need to move back and be near family. You need to move back and be near family. And at some point, I guess they convinced him, because I think he had some dreams deferred. My dad played football in high school and in the Army, and had these desires to play for the San Francisco 49ers back then, but I don't think he had enough. Whatever. I don't know all the details. I just know that was a dream that he wanted to do. But my dad is also a musician. And my dad played a lot of music in the Bay Area and had his own band. You'll appreciate this. His band was called The Hen.
Oh,
Hen, like a chicken, right? And he would have this rubber chicken with him on stage. And he played the trumpet, he sang, and in time he taught himself multiple instruments. So he moved back to Houston and also became a part of the music scene there and
oh.
some other experiences. So it was family that drew us back to Texas, where I was
Mhm.
held captive until I graduated from high school. And then I fled, and that was 30 years ago, almost 40, and I've yet to return.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about too, because you're living in Texas with both your parents, I'm assuming, right? They were
Hmm.
together still, and white, black, biracial child. What was? Oh, wait, cheers! Look, look, look,
I
look.
see you having your red wine. I'm having a 14-year Scotch.
You better work. See, kids. Okay, I'm over here sipping some version of some cheap Malbec. And this was over here with like some ancient scotch. Of course he is. Of course he is.
It's a
Always,
special
always the
occasion.
graceful gentleman.
It's a
But
special occasion.
was that, was that hard growing up in a biracial, as a biracial child in a mixed household?
It's an interesting question, Danny, because I oftentimes didn't feel a sense of that I was biracial when we were in California, because we moved back
Mm-hmm.
to Texas, I think the first time when I was around 6. And it wasn't until we moved to Texas then I realized, oh, there's like black communities, there's white communities, there's
Mm-hmm.
poor communities, there's middle class communities. My grandfather and 2 of my uncles were Pentecostal ministers, and they had their own churches. So then there was not only the black community, there was the black church community, which was completely different than the white community. And let's just put it out there. This is 1971, and my mother was basically one of those bra burners, right? So here's my
Mm.
mom. My mom's a white woman, a very beautiful woman, but kind of free spirited, not really fitting into the mold.
Yeah.
But I remember many, many years ago talking to my dad, and my dad actually said that he felt more racism against being married to my mother in California, which
Mm.
was supposed to be a liberal state, versus Texas. And I think the rationale, if I recall, was when you're in a very liberal community, you don't often see what's behind the facade of individuals who perhaps give off the idea or convey that they're okay with what you are. Whereas
Right.
in the deep South, there's really no secret in terms of how people feel. They either feel you or they don't feel you, and you will know for the most
Mm-hmm.
part right away. But
Mm-hmm.
I can remember being a kid, going to all black schools as an elementary, and being called whitey. Oh, you got good hair. Oh, you talk too proper. All that stuff. I know you got that talk too proper stuff because we had talked about that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But
Talk, talk,
both my
talking,
parents, yeah,
talking
both
white.
my parents are black. I never claimed anything else, neither did they. I mean, obviously there's familial skeletons I'll never know about, but yeah, I went through the whole thing of, you're not black enough, or you think you white, or, you talk like a white girl. And I'm just like, my mother just spoke well. And I would get that too. And I never wanted to be anything but black. And so that as a child, that was hurtful from my black friends. That was certainly hurtful. But I mean, I know you're now married to the beautiful Deanna, and you guys have been married, what, 20 years now?
January will be 24.
Ooh, work. And again, in a biracial household. So she's white, you're
Mm-hmm.
biracial, but
Mm-hmm.
your son, I mean, I didn't want to jump to the famous stuff this early, but since we're here, and now you're in Florida, what do you
Hello.
teach your kids, your sons, your beautiful sons, about race and that stuff?
Well, it's great to be able to have that legacy to pass on,
Mm.
and the challenge is, as someone once told me, I don't have phenotypical features of the Negroid experience, right?
Mm.
But it's in my body, it's in my
Hmm.
genes, it's my culture. I've always identified as a Black male. My
Yeah,
trajectory in so many different ways was as a Black man, not as a white man, although I embrace the white history of who I am too,
of
because it's
course.
who
That's
I
true.
am, right? But I'll tell you, I remember my oldest son, who's 17. I have two boys. We have two boys. One's 13, one's 17. When the 17-year-old was about 13 in middle school, we were still living in Maryland at one point. He says, Dad, can you please send me a picture of Grandpa Jay? And if you have one of his daddy too. And I texted him back. I was like, and this is the middle of the school day. First of all, why are you texting me in the middle of the school day? So then I texted him back. I'm like, why? He said, well, there's some guys in school. They don't believe I'm telling them that my dad's Black and that I'm Black too. Right.
Uh,
So I sent him the pictures and, so I know that they embrace it, but it's a different experience for them, right?
mhm.
They haven't grown up in an all Black community. They haven't
Right.
grown up in an all Black school. We've really done a good job of keeping them in very multicultural and diverse environments.
And what kind of like I know the Antonio from like back in the day, but what kind of dad are you? Are you a strict dad? Are you like
Oh, I'm no joke, girl. I am no joke. Listen, but
I can
I,
imagine.
but our boys are very spoiled. We've given them everything. I remember being a kid and my father saying every parent wants their child to have a better life than the life
Yeah.
that they had, right? So I've kept those kinds of lessons and messages to heart. I didn't beat them to the degree that I should have. I never beat them. I never gave my kids whoopings, although I got plenty
Mm.
of whoopings. I was hard-headed. I mean,
Yeah.
I almost set the house on fire 2 or 3 times. I needed my butt tore up, is the
you know?
reality. And but I remember this was a couple of years ago. My older one said something to me, and my younger one said, if that was Grandpa Jay, you would have got knocked out. Grandpa
Right.
Jay is my
Right.
father, right? Because I've told them the stories. I said I wouldn't even look the wrong way. I would have got an eye knocked over here, I would have been able to walk for a week because I would have been toe up so much.
Toe up.
But I am a father who is, this is my house. These are my rules. You're going to live by them. And the truth of the matter is, Danny, I could be a much better father. So every day is an opportunity to improve.
I mean, we could all be better everything's, right? I mean, and I feel like, again, I was trying to leave politics alone for the day because, we can all be better every single day. And I live by that to be a better person, a better friend, better daughter, better sister. I'm working on some things right now to be a better auntie. I mean, there's a lot going on in the world. And so I think this is a time to reflect and step back and just be better people and humans because we have to come together. And now is the time. It's now or never. We have to come together.
No, you're so right. And before I go on, I see Satin Allen has joined us. Hey, Satin. I don't know if you saw. I posted the song for today was "Give the People What They Want." Got to give the people what they want. I don't know if you remember that. That's the OJ's. Got to give the people what they want, right? And that song was written in 1975. And if you go back and you read the lyrics,
Yeah.
and you look at the societal fabric of today, you really have to ask yourself, how much really has changed? How much really has changed?
Yeah.
But I will tell you something that has noticeably changed that is for the detriment of our communities and our societies and our abilities to heal and unify, and that is the lack of civility. We don't we
You better.
we don't have filters anymore. And while social media and being in cyberspace can be a wonderful platform and place to live and inhabit, people say things in text messages and emails and on social media that they would never say to another person's face, right?
Exactly.
And then some of that same level of lack of filtering and lack of civility, people actually engage like that in person, right?
Yeah.
So that is the scary part of kind of navigating, no matter where you are,
True.
is how people are communicating to each other. There's a great poem, and I had it on my phone, but because I switched over, I can't find it. But for our listeners and our viewers, it's about that Sticks and Stones poem. You remember that old Sticks and Stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me? Well, there's a great book about children's education called Choice Words. And it's a second book in a series. The first one was Language Matters. And the author, Peter H. Johnston, wrote this poem about sticks and stones actually do break your bones, but words break your heart. Right?
Oh.
They can leave irreparable damage.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
the absence of the right words can harm,
Right.
right? And so when you think about the research around language, that only 7% is the actual words that come out of our mouth, and the other 93% is our body language or
Mm,
our tone in our voice, how much more important is it the words that we
yeah.
actually choose? No matter, even if there's animus towards somebody else, or we're not feeling the same thing, or we're in a disagreement, the words can either be, our tongue can be like a matchstick in a dry forest and blow it up, or it can guide us towards the pathway of actually being civil with each other.
You better talk. You better talk, brother. You should see the comments. Powerful words break your heart. It's so true. I mean, the powerful words can break your heart. That is so, so true. And quickly back to your sons, you know, how do you deal with them with just that, like the internet?
Well, you know, we monitor them. We're on their, whatever their pages are. We communicate with them. Um, we, I think all of us growing up, and I say all of us, I mean generationally. I think our generation had better communication with our parents, had with their parents. I know at least I do, than my parents had with their parents, right? I can't speak for you. But in overall, my conversations with people is that our generation had a better relationship with our parents, even if it needed work or it was strained. And so the relationship that my wife and I have with our boys, I like to think is an improvement on the relationship that I had with my father. And here I am, I'm gonna be 55 in just a few weeks, right? Ooh, 55, right? Look at all that gray
Can you
hair, girl.
believe we're in
Look
our
at all that
50s?
gray hair.
I know, but you know what? Someone earlier said, your hair is beautiful.
Oh,
But
thank
can you
you.
believe we are in our 50s? What the
Dan,
hell?
Danny, it was 1986. I was a few months shy of 21 that year. I walked into the studio and we worked on our first Jean Hill Sagan Ballet, Conversations of the Soul. But
Conversation.
in terms of my sons,
Yeah.
every day is about helping them understand that we care about them, we love them, and we want them to have we want them to have a good quality of life. So their trust is a staircase, and they can act in a way where they go up the staircase, and then if they break that trust, then boom, 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 they go back down and have to work their way back up.
I love it. I love it. I'm just, you know, I'm such a gypsy still in my heart. And I'm always so fascinated by my friends who have, you know, gone on to get married and have children. And, you know, I've always sort of like shaped against the saying, settle, when you settle down. I honestly feel like you settle up, because when you really commit to a marriage and a family life, you're settling up because you are committing to really being there for another person and to raise children. There's no honor, there's no higher honor to me is to bring a life into the world. I mean, I haven't had that blessing, and that's my choice and my lifestyle or whatever, but I think it's beautiful, and I'm fascinated by my friends who have like children.
No, and you know, ancient times, and I mean ancient, I mean thousands of years ago, and even still among some tribal groups, having children is like the purpose in life, right?
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily everyone's truth, and that's not
Right.
necessarily the way it has to be. Let's see, my son's gonna be, my oldest is 17,
Mm.
and so I was 38 when he was born, right? I was not
That's a
ready.
good age.
I know it was a perfect age, because if I'd have had him at 28 or
Mm-mm.
18, I don't know how these kids have these babies at 18, 15, 16, 17. Now granted, I have siblings that had children very young, and they have
Mm-hmm.
been wonderful parents, and their
Mm-hmm.
children have grown up to be phenomenal human beings.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure it has not been without any challenges,
Sure.
right? So I'm grateful that the trajectory happened when it happened for me in terms of family.
Yes.
And whether a person has children or not is irrelevant to their purpose.
Yes.
I have one looking at me right now. He's written something on a paper, which means he wants my attention. Okay,
I
gotcha.
love it.
Green tea.
Oh, well, I think it's divine. And to your point, going back to really quickly, you know my mom. I have an amazing relationship with my mom. I mean, I love her beyond love. And my dad and I, in and out, it went in and out, but and he's gone on to glory. But
And
I
how
my
long
mother,
has your dad been gone, Danny?
he passed away January 2018,
Okay,
right
okay,
after his 71st birthday, actually.
okay. Well, he was young.
He
71 is
was
young.
young, but he
Yeah.
partied hard. I mean, I think I get that from him. But and it took him he wore his body out, I'll just say. So,
Hmm.
but towards the end, I mean, we had an understanding, we had a relationship. I always knew where he was. We talked off and on. He never missed my birthday or Christmas, actually. To that, I have messages in my phone that I archived just so I could hear his voice still. So we had a relationship, but it was just at a distance.
It's interesting you said that about hearing the voice of your father. And
Yeah.
sorry to interject, but I have no recordings of my mother's voice, who I lost in February of 2016,
Yeah.
and I wish I had just one voice message. My mother was a texter. Oh Lord, she would text you to death. She was like, text,
Really?
right? And then if I didn't text her back, she would get mad at me. And I would say, Mom, I'm a principal in a school. I don't have
Right.
time to stop and text you in the middle. Or I was in the part of the building where there's no text and I didn't get it till later on and then I forgot, right? But she was a texter. So she texted me a lot.
Mm.
I didn't have very many voice messages from her. But in my mind, I can recall the conversations over the years with her. That
Yeah.
so
Wow.
I'm happy that you have that. I was reminded of the late Senator John McCain's wife was on one of the news shows, and somebody played a video of John McCain speaking, and that's exactly what she said. She said, "Oh, I'm so glad you played that video because I got to hear John's voice and
Uh,
how powerful it is when you can hear the voice of a loved one who's gone on."
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love all of this. I mean, I feel like we could talk to like till tomorrow, but I definitely, obviously, because, of who you are and what you've done, I want to get back to the dance and the arts and the music. And quickly back. So I read in your bio. I mean, I have so many questions,
Well,
but
get to it, girl. I'll stop talking. I'll give you the straight answers.
so you went to a performing arts high school in Houston, Texas, but you didn't really start taking ballet until you were 16.
Yeah, can you believe that, Danny?
No, because your technique was one of the things besides your artistry that was so phenomenal about you. I mean, when did you even know that? Did you even know that you could dance?
You're so kind, Danny.
Oh, come on, we all know it.
It was a lot of hard work. I'll be honest. I fell out of my mother's womb as an artist. I was singing and music was like I knew I was good at singing. I like nobody had to tell me. And my mom would be like, "Baby, don't you want to sing for so and so? They coming over later on." She was one of those moms, right? And she took me to shows all the time. She took us to performances and exposed us to the arts, or when the awards shows were on, she'd have us sitting right next to her watching the award shows, right? So you get to see talent. And I was at the High School Performing and Visual Arts, which next year in Houston is going to celebrate its 50th anniversary. And so it's been around for a while, since 1973 or 72, I guess. And I knew I wanted fame and glory, right? And back then, late 70s, early 80s, Michael Jackson and Prince were really at the top of the music game. So you couldn't stand still and be Frank
No.
Sinatra, right? You couldn't stand still and be Jerry Butler, the Iceman, right? You had to be able, and even Motown had set the precedent for being able to move, right? So I was like, I gotta learn how to move. Now, granted, I did win the talent show doing the robot in second grade. So I always had, and I was street popping and electric boogaloo and
Yes.
all that stuff, which Desmond and Dwight and I used to talk about our street dancing backgrounds, right?
Yes.
Which gives you a sense of freedom and the ability to improvise and structure at the same time. So my mom was in a workshop and she met a woman from New York, and her daughter was in Elliott Feld at the time. This is 1981. And she said, yeah, my son, he's a really great singer, but he wants to get into dance, and we're just not quite sure how to make it happen, right? And so she said, well, my good friend is actually he's doing a master series with Houston Dance Center. He's going to be there for the next 3 months. This was Alexander Mintz. Alexander Mintz's name was, you remember the movie The Turning Point, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in The Turning Point, the son, because remember Leslie Brown's character had a brother, a younger brother.
Right. Oh,
and
right.
And he was on scholarship at SAB. Well, there's a famous scene in there where he does his double tour and he falls to the ground. Well, that class is being taught by none other than Alexander Mintz, who was also Drosselmeyer in the Baryshnikov Gelsey Kirkland Nutcracker. So if you go back and see that, anybody out there, they can see that. That was my first ballet teacher. So she says, he's here teaching. Why don't you bring your son in to see if he can dance? Right now, I hadn't had a dance class in my life. Right, I weighed about 145 pounds. I was about 5'10", and I came in and took the adult company class. Right.
Wait. Stop. Wait.
That was my audition.
Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this?
That was my audition, right? And I am about 3 months shy of turning 17, actually. So I didn't have tights. I didn't have a leotard. I didn't have ballet slippers. So we went to...
Did you have a dance belt?
Girl, of course I ain't had nothing to hold those puppies up. So my mom found out what I needed. Well, and I had a friend that was in the dance department, because remember I went to PVA, so I had a friend who was a dancer. Now, believe it or not, he had showed me what a tendu, dégagé, plie, fondue, and grand rond de jambe were. So I knew those 5 things, right? That's it, right? Maybe a développé, maybe a battement, I don't know. Maybe a port de bras, a compre. I have no idea, right? So we went to the dance store. We got what I needed. My first and only pair of leather ballet slippers. I never wore leather after that again. I only wore can't do that craziness, right? And I take this class, and Sasha Alexander later on meets with my mom and I, and he says, you have the right kind of body, your head is the right proportion to your body, and there's some work, you're going to need some work because you're starting really late, but that's okay. He's like, Nureyev started late, right? He said there's dances that start late, but you're a man and you have potential. I'm going to be here for the next 2.5 months. I think he wanted a little more than just me to take class, but
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it, kids.
Right. But that's the truth. But out of that, my mom only had to pay half the tuition, because Sasha said, I'll pay the rest of your tuition for the year, right?
Wow.
So he paid the other half. And that was my first year of dance. Danny, I'm going to stop telling this, but there's one thing about that experience. I took 6 classes a week, Monday through Thursday, and 2 of them were adult intermediate classes, and 4 were with little girls of the ages 7 to 10.
And you were 17. I can't.
Hello, right?
This is fascinating.
But that was the beginning. And so then the next year when I went back to school at PVA, they let me do my vocal, because I was a vocal major. And I had already studied theater. I had played instruments. I was everything, right? And they said, hey, you want to take dance? I was like, I would love to. So I got to take dance in the morning and dance with them. And then I switched to another studio and study. So I was doing dance during the day and in the evening at the Houston Allegro Ballet. And those 2 years, just because I was doing it every day, it changed my life. It was transformative. And I often tell people this, that why dance, with all the talent I had as a musician, the reason I fell in love with dance was because I needed discipline in my life. And dance gave me the discipline I needed.
But I mean, listen, let's be clear though. Wait a minute, kids.
She said, no, I'm taking a sip on that. She said, I'm pulling that one back. I ain't letting that slide.
Because yes, I mean, you started late, but clearly, you were blessed with natural gifts. You had beautiful lines, beautiful feet, body technique. So you were already coming to the game with
Yeah, I
You know,
wasn't
obviously,
fighting. My body was not fighting me like some other people's body might have been
no,
fighting them.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. No, I had that. I had that. I don't know who I got those ankles from. The shape of my legs I got from my dad. He was a runner. His thighs were a little more developed, but I know the
Yeah.
shape of my legs came from him.
Wait, I want to show the kids what I'm talking about. Where is that photo? Oh, did I? I might have deleted it by accident. I'm so sorry. I'm so mad at myself right now, but all good because you had the lines of doom, and we all know this about you, Mr. Antonio Carlos Scott. So, all right, so you're in school, you're progressing, you're doing beautifully. What brought you to? Hey, Lydia, Lydia,
Oh, Coco, you
come
out
on,
there, girl?
Coco. Another diva with them feet, honey, cashews. So
Hello,
what
hello.
brought you east to University of the Arts?
Okay, so Danny, it's so crazy, right? I had no plans on going to college. In fact, I had no plans. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do, right? I was like, I'm going to be a star, but I don't know what I'm going to do, right? How am I going to get there? And my mom was always, she was my number one cheerleader. And she would
Mm,
always say, you can do whatever you want.
mm.
You just have to see it, believe it, and achieve it. And
All right.
you can make it happen, right?
Mm,
And my dad was always encouraging me. He was never discouraging to me, but a different approach in terms of building my capacity up.
mm-hmm.
So here it is, senior year. Now, Danny, you were class valedictorian. I wasn't valedictorian, right? I was about 132, and I was probably 40 from the bottom. But
No.
not because I didn't have the intelligence. I didn't apply myself.
Mm,
I was busy exploring, self-medicating, doing stupid stuff I shouldn't have been doing, right?
mm.
That's a whole nother other pod.
That's
Which,
part two.
yeah, that's part two.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my message to any aspiring young person or a grown person who's 50, 60, 70 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I came to this realization that I think I want to dance some more, but I'm not ready to like hit the big leagues. I'm not there yet. So what can I do?
Mm.
Well, I had met the dean of PCPA, Mr. Ed Brake, the year before in my junior year. And he said, well, you should think about coming to our school. So I auditioned. He came down. He would always come down every year and he videotaped me. I did like a little combination and a little 64 count something we made up on the spot. He videotaped me and I applied to PCPA, which it was then. It wasn't University of the Arts, as you know.
Right.
And then I applied to North Carolina School of Arts, Cal Arts,
Mm.
right? University of Miami for the musical theater program, because American International University was really building up this musical theater program, which is ultimately why I started dancing, because I thought I wanted to
Mm.
sing and dance. I wanted to be on Broadway, and I wanted to be this and that,
Yes.
yada yada, right? So I got accepted to Cal Arts, but it wasn't a lot of money. North Carolina School of the Arts was like, not interested. Miami International University was interested, but it wasn't a lot of money. They offered me more money at Philadelphia at PCPA, and I had never traveled there. I hadn't been anywhere north of Texas, only
Really?
only west of Texas.
Mm.
And we figured it out. My mom and we crunched the numbers. Somehow we made it work. I missed the deadline to get into the dorms, and Dean Brake set me up with this crazy person in a studio apartment over on 21st and Walnut.
Oh, wow.
Catty corner to the PAMPM that used to be just above the Rittenhouse up there, right? I live right across the street. This is my first apartment. I think I paid $150 a month for rent.
Oh, my God.
And that's how I landed at PCPA. And then folks just took care of me when I was there. And then I said I landed with a crazy roommate. He was crazy. He was a pathological liar. And I was like, I got to get out of here because he might kill me in my sleep, right? So bless my dear late departed friend Niles Ford took me
I
under
was going
his
to ask
wing.
you about Niles Ford.
He took me under his wing, and his mom said, yeah, he can come out and stay at the house out at 84th and Lyons by the airport. And I stayed out there for a couple of months, and then we got an apartment down in South Philly, and really the rest is history after that.
Yes. Oh my God.
But that's how I ended up at PCPA, because I knew I needed more time to dance. So by the time I'm working with you at PHILADANCO, I've been dancing nonstop 4 years.
Right.
Nonstop, right? Compressed training.
Mm.
And before I got to you, I had done a year also, not only at the college, but I was at Pennsylvania Ballet in the evenings. And,
Oh.
and then, because I was on scholarship there, and then
Mhm.
I did a summer there. And then the following summer, they were like, we're not interested in you. So I went to San Francisco Ballet, and they gave me a partial scholarship, and I trained there. And when I came back a few months later is when I landed at Danco. And bless Joe Myers
So
Brown's heart for allowing me to come in and
we
stir it
were
up.
all the better for Philadelphia looking out for you, because I mean, what a phenomenal dancer and spirit you are, and where are is what. But before you came to Philadanco, or did you work with Judy? So tell us about, first of all, meeting Judith Jamison at
Okay.
college.
So, okay, that came afterwards
Oh,
because
it
I,
did.
I I worked with her my senior year and I came to Danco my junior year. Now, but interestingly,
Ah.
I was at Danco when Judy came and did auditions, which is the first time I met Sarita Allen. And Sarita was like all over. She was like, I don't know what you're doing. That you fix that mess, right? The phenomenal diva that she is. She was doing the demonstrations for Mephistopheles when Judy auditioned for the opera that she was doing with the Philadelphia Opera. And that
Mm.
was the summer of 1987. And Peter McCoy and I went to the audition, right? Phenomenal Peter McCoy, because I don't know if you remember, he and I in the streets, like, I'm going to do 7 turns. I'm going to do 8 turns. I'm going to do 10 turns.
Oh
I'm
my
going to jump
God.
higher than you, right? We were like crazy.
Yeah.
And he got the gig, and I was offered the gig, but I couldn't do it because I had already committed to go with Gene and Carlos Shorty out to Pennsylvania. It wasn't Pennsylvania Youth Ballet. I can't remember the name of it. It was Marguerite White's ballet company, and he was setting a work, and we went up to Vermont. So I didn't get to work with her, but she
Hmm.
saw me for the first time. And then the following year, she came back for the inaugural. It was the year that the school was beginning to become University of the Arts. Because in 4 years, it went from Philadelphia College of Performing Arts to Philadelphia Colleges of the Arts to the
Hmm.
University of the Arts, because they kept
Yeah.
absorbing schools, right? And so I met her that year, and PBS came in and filmed the special of the whole collaboration of her being in the school, and Jonathan Phelps and Lisa
Uh,
Johnson and
Lisa
I.
Johnson.
We were featured dancers and so many others that were in that class, and that was really an opportunity for us to just shine in a different way. But I'll be very honest, I didn't really recognize, not and it's bizarre. I can't even explain it, Danny. I had a book, the history of Clement Crisp from England's book, History of Dance, and in the book, in the middle, I remember I used to stare at it all the time, was this picture of Judy in the cry skirt doing this layout, right? Her hair was like that long, right? I was
Hmm.
like, who is this woman? She's beautiful, right? But when I had the chance to finally work with her, I didn't fully understand all that she represented and all that
Yeah.
she stood for, right? I
Yeah.
really didn't, because as a young man of 21, 22, and at that time she's like 45, 46,
Yeah.
she's on the other side of all the great things she did as a physical dancer. Of course, she went on to do other great things. And
Hmm.
so for me, that was a little impediment, but I will say this. What I appreciated the most is that she believed in me,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
that belief in me then led to me being 2 years with her in the Jamison Project, and then going to the Ailey company for 4 years, as you know.
Well, okay, so there's a lot in there that I really want to ask you about, because, okay, so if you just joined us, I'm talking to the amazing Antonio Carlos Scott, who I've known since the late 80s. So I don't know how many years that is. That's forever.
It's
And
34 to be exact, Missy. Unofficially, no, officially 34, but
I
probably
still
two
can't
years even
count.
earlier than that.
My math sucks. Um, so when I was dancing with Philadanco, the late great Jean Hill Sagan came up to me one day in rehearsal and said, "I'm bringing you a prince." And in walks through the door one day of rehearsal is Antonio Carlos Scott. And so we developed a beautiful partnership at Philadanco. I mean, Richard Nello, Elegy, I mean, so many ballets, but
It's all because
also,
of a woman. Remember that last song,
oh my
Sweet,
God, Sweet
Sweet Agony,
Agony,
baby.
Teddy Pendergrass. And I just
Elegy.
remember, I think at that time, I mean, even though like Philadelphia had many, many amazing dancers over the years back in those days, but I mean, yes, Carlos Shorty, Tom Miles,
Corbett,
all these, Lloyd
Warren,
Whitmore.
Lloyd.
But I think when you came in, I mean, first of all, your look, just tall, and your ability to first, I think the Philadelphia audiences really fell in love with not just your look, but the fact that you could whip out those turns, and the kids used to go up in the audience when you would go out there and kill it. I mean, I have this one photo of you from you sent me from the poster. Just look, kids. Just look, just
That's
all
joy.
male. And I want to talk also too about, one of the beautiful things about your dancing, besides your artistry, is your partnering. Your partnering was always stellar. So how did you learn to be such an amazing partner?
Well, Danny, I appreciate you asking that, because it is something that I think early on I took a lot of pride in. Part of that was I always felt as a dancer that I was playing catch up in the physical. I was always playing catch up. Always. That's why when Peter and I would try to challenge each other, I was always playing catch up. But this is what I want to say about there's Lisa and I. That's Lisa and I and Judy's piece, is that one of the great things I learned from being in PHILADANCO, which I attribute to the men I danced with and JB, is that if you were a man, nobody cared who you was sleeping with. When you get on the stage, you better be a man. That was the old school thinking, right? I don't care what's going on in your bedroom or what you do behind closed doors. When you hit the stage, you are a man. And that Tom Miles brought that, right? Ooh,
Tom
brought that, right? And there was a power in that I gravitated towards. And also because remember, I spent all that ballet training. You do a lot more partnering in ballet training than you do in modern. So I'm doing all this ballet training while I'm doing the modern. I'm doing the jazz. It's at the same time. So, and then of course, let's be honest, I love the women. So to be able to touch and move and manipulate and be intimate.
Can we pause on that? Take a sip, ladies. Wait. Why you send me this picture though? Ew, come on now. Really?
That is by a wonderful photographer in Philadelphia that Judy had us do a photo sessions with, and such great shots came out of that. His name was Michael Hearn in Philadelphia. Yes. Michael Hearn.
Sarita's like, I'm taking a sip. No, but seriously, like, you are such a thoughtful, yes, you're strong. Like, you're a strong man, but a thoughtful partner. And I always felt like you wanted your partners to look their best. And I just remember doing something, I forget which piece it was, but, you cranked my leg up and you were like, oh, Mister, come on,
Oh, I know exactly what it was. It was that duet, that quartet in Elements, which it takes place.
Yes.
Right? And there was, or it was either that. No, I recall. It was in Sweet Agony. There was a thing where you would do this. And you would go over and the leg would go to the side. I was like, pull it up, right? No, again, I appreciate the thoughtfulness in recognizing that, because for me, Danny, the lessons that I have learned in dance, and I tell people this when I go into interviews, I was going to say auditions, but when I go to interviews or when I'm working with staff or I'm working with community stakeholders, is that so much of what I learned about collaboration comes from the art of dance and theater. Yes. Because a quality production is not a solo performance. There's a lighting designer, there's costume people involved, there are stage hands, there's a choreographer. Yes. I remember working with Donald Byrd, and he would bring in a dramaturg. So you have all these different people coming in, right? And then if you're in an ensemble piece, it's all of you working together to make this thing come alive and be magic. Yes. And so the heart of collaboration is so embodied in what we do in theater and performance.
We got to work with so many amazing choreographers at PHILADANCO. Like, you just mentioned Element, and you sent me this picture. Let me see if I can blow it up.
Lord have mercy. Your face is covering me up. Thank goodness. Because I look at that scrawny mess. I go,
oh, it's so small.
I needed a suntan.
but Element by Milton Myers, and one of my favorites to work with you was Joy. Oh, that was one of my
which is what that jeté on the cover of the
yes, that's from
Smithsonian was.
Joy. And then okay, wait. So this one, will you send me this? First of all,
I had to dig that up. I was like, I know I got a picture somewhere.
okay. First of all,
you are snatched up in that
baby.
picture.
I am snatched boots. Okay.
You starved up for that trip.
That size is never to be seen again. Okay.
No, and neither is that puffy hair on my head, that raccoon chia pet. But I do like the arms. If I could get those arms,
I
would be a happy camper. No, you know when that was? That was 1987 or 1988. And we were in the Virgin Islands because I saw that in the post. We were definitely in the Virgin Islands, and that was at the hotel. And that was a wonderful there you go. Look at all those people.
Look at us.
There's Carmela. There's her last name is Cannon now. Sabrina Cannon.
Michael Donaghy. Carmela.
And Donald Lunsford was with us on that trip.
Donald's down there.
Because somebody wasn't with us. It might have been Warren. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of pictures of me hanging out with Evelyn and Maureen on that trip.
Oh, such good times. But
oh yeah.
We might be going past an hour, kids. So strap in, because this is just getting good. Y'all ready?
Because I only think we got to one of your questions on the pad.
I haven't even gotten halfway down the page.
I'm sorry.
Give us a thumbs up if y'all.
But Danny, we have to give some context. Remember that back in the spring when you and I connected, and I was like, Danny, what do you want to do? You can't do the summer stay. She's like, I really want to do this IG live thing, and I want to bring in these people. And I was like, Danny, if you want to do it, make it happen, and you can make it happen, right? And that's why I've been watching all your IGs, because I'm like, she's living it. She saw it.
Oh my God!
She saw it. She saw it, she believed it, and she's achieving it, right? And so,
really? Oh my God.
So I just wanna take my proverbial hat off to you for saying, hey, this is what I want to do, and then making it happen, and then sharing it with others, right?
Oh, thank you for saying that. I know, I realized, like, I've been doing this. My first one was April 17, I think, with my friend Monique. Was it Monique? Yeah, Monique was my first one.
And I think your cousin, and then the one with Kathy Sledge and the wonderful Miss Gaynor, and you've been knocking it out, girl. Dwight, you did one with Dwight for Summer Stage.
Oh my God, Dwight!
You've been in your element.
Dwight, if you're still on, I want to bring Dwight back for my old show so that we can really cut up and do talk about other stuff. So yeah, so back to the career. So just if you're just joining us, I'm talking with Antonio Carlos Scott. We've been friends since the late 80s, mid 80s, and it looks like we're at 5:53 p.m. and we are definitely going to go past an hour. So grab your drink, kids. Go grab a drink, take a whiz, come back. Sorry, I was gross.
Relieve yourself as needed.
Just getting started. See, so I'm just ratchet. But in any case, all right. So we're dancing with PHILADANCO. Doing what we need to do. We're performing and carrying on. I'll never forget, we were at the Robin Hood Del East, and word on the street was that Judy was in the building. And so I think soon after that performance, you left and went to the Jamison Project. So that was 89.
I forgot about that. Because the Robin Hood Del East is up in Germantown, and that was her, that's where her parents lived and her brother. But yeah, I joined Jamison Project it was 88. Okay, so remember I told you I won valedictorian, right? Well, I wasn't that hot in my undergrad classes either. Sometimes it depended on the class. If it was Pat Thomas Graham, if it was Andrew Pat Ballet, I was hitting it. If it was tap at 8 o'clock in the morning up on the 6th floor, 313, I wasn't always there. But she did the auditions in 1988 up at New York, and it was posted. It was like in the Village Voice, and it was in everything, what was that other one? Backstage, right? It was in Backstage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went up to New York for the audition, and what a great group of dancers, because she hired 10 of us out of that group. And that first year it was Jonathan Phelps, Jonathan Reisling, Deanna Hyatt, let me see, Deanna Hyatt, Michael Leon Thomas, Tina Bush. For a heartbeat, we had Thera Ward from DTH fame. And
Right.
then Thera left, Rebecca Riggert, Sylvie, Sarita, of course, and Wesley Johnson, the late wonderful Wesley Johnson. So there were 10 of us. And then we did like 6 weeks residency, just creating work at the University of Arts. And then we went to Jacob's Pillow for another month, and we worked up at Jacob's Pillow. We went to Detroit, because she had worked out these residencies for us. We went to Detroit for like 2 months, girl. They gave us Chrysler town cars to drive and gave us houses to live in, and we got free tickets to go see the Michael Jackson's Bad tour at the Pontiac Dome that year too. And the Pointer Sisters were in the audience. I'll never forget.
Oh my
right?
God.
And so that was year one. And then we finished the season off. We came back to Philadelphia, did a concert the day before Thanksgiving. And then a couple of weeks later, we did a week at the Joyce, which was unheard of, really, for a brand new company to do a week at the Joyce.
But it's Judy.
But that's going to say, that's the power of Judith Jamison.
Yes.
Right? And so then from there, we did another year, and she brought 2 more dancers in. Danny Clark came in. Wesley went to Ailey. Sarita went back to Ailey. Rebecca was working a lot more with Elisa Monte back then, and I don't think she had started the White Oak thing yet. She may have. I'm not quite sure. But that's when Lydia came on. Lydia Roberts came on, and she and I started dancing together. That's our first partnership together, working together there. And Karine Plantadi, right, at 18 or 19 years old, came in like a, you know.
So wait, so let me pause you really quickly. So a little backstory, kids. Prior to that second season, I had gotten the call from the West Coast, because that was right around the time that Mr. Ailey was starting to get sick. And so Judy was touring with the Ailey company, and she had seen me dancing with PHILADANCO. She was interested, let's just say. I don't want to give out too much information, because, you know, I'm writing a book.
Oh, I can't wait to read it.
If I ever finish it, okay?
You don't get me started. I'm going to send you an article about writing.
Yes, please. So anyways, Judy had put the word out that she wanted me to come to her audition for the second season of the Jamison Project. And I remember going, I was so excited. I got a phone call from Erin White, who was the one that told me about all of this. And I remember going to the audition, and I remember getting a call back, and I got all the way through all of that. But I remember seeing you there, and I was just like, hi, like my old partner, hi. I mean, obviously we couldn't talk because you're there, and I was just like, we waved. But I remember seeing Jonathan Rising and being like, woo! And but that audition, Karine, Lydia, they were auditioning at the same time, and they ended up going in, you know, and I didn't get in even after all of that, and that will be explained in the book. But you know, but you guys moved on and went on. But I do you remember when Aunt Joan threw that party at her house and invited you guys?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And that was the
no suntan oil. You're not allowed to wear suntan oil at the pool, because it'll mess the system up. Oh, yeah, I remember.
Taxi! Check, please!
No. We'll have none of that. Oh, yeah. That was the first summer. That was 1988, actually, that summer. But you're right. Yeah. I do remember coming to her house, and she invited us. And that was a great gesture of solidarity. It really was. Well,
you know, I always wanted to ask you, because I remember when I left Danco, and it was very emotional. And, you know, my relationship with Aunt Joan thankfully has survived after I left. But how was it for you when you left Danco? Like, what was the conversation like, if you feel like sharing?
Well,
Joan?
you know,
It's hard.
Miss Joan Myers Brown was always getting low. I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do about this. My battery's getting low.
Oh no.
She was always supportive, but you know, she would stick her little snide comments every once in a while when she wanted to, but she always took care of me, and I really don't know why, Danny. She always took care of me. If somebody was injured or hurt, even from 88 to 90, I still kept coming back and dancing at Danco. If there was a time,
I remember
she would bring me back. I remember going to the Joyce and somebody got injured, and I danced the whole season at the Joyce. And then there was another time where the company was going somewhere, and even when I was with Ailey my first year, I came back and did some performance. So she always welcomed me back in, and part of it was I wanted to be there. And of course, you know, I love Gene. He really was my heart and soul. He was my mentor. I would have done anything for him, and he was really that conduit for JB and I, and I appreciate that she took care of me. Of course, you know, back then, that was on the heels of only a few years after both Debbie's going to Ailey, David St. Charles going to Ailey, Kevin Brown. It was like, okay, I'm trying to run a company here, and Mr. Ailey, you keep taking all my dances, right? And then there was Dallas Black Dance Theater, and then there was Dayton Contemporary, and then there was Lula. And back then, which ain't much different than now, and I understand what some of that was about. Presenters only wanted to bring in one dance company a year. So you might be waiting 4 years for your company to come in, right? So there were so many moving parts involved there. And that's the testament to her resilience, right? But back to your question is that she never held me back. She never held me back. And anything that she said that was a little snide to me was always about reminding me, remember where you came from.
Okay.
And don't forget us. And don't forget us, right?
Even to this day. Okay, she won't read you in a hot minute. And she, like, the last time I saw her, she was like, ooh, where'd you get all those boobs from?
Because she snatched, girl. She still snatched.
First of all.
How is all of that snatchness even possible?
Joe is snatched for the gods, honey. But she has to be the example, right?
Exactly.
And we love her. So, okay, wait. So, is your phone really running out of juice? Are we going to lose you?
That's because I couldn't get on the iPad. I don't understand.
Can you get one of your sons to like grab your charger so
I'm getting ready to call my wife. Deanna, I need you to get the charger.
We are really live, y'all. We are really live.
Dying here. Could you help me out, please?
If you're just joining us, we are talking with the great Antonio Carlos Scott. We have been going on about dance and life and family, and this is so good. We're like strapping kids. Grab a beverage. This has got to be my best one yet. I swear to you.
So funny.
I'm so happy right now. You don't even know. Okay, I know Dwight. Dwight, hang it in, Dwight. Come on, Dwight. Come on, Sprite.
Come on, Roscoe.
Right. So
I saw Marlisa came.
Yeah, Marlisa's in there. I saw Marlisa.
Hey, Mar.
Yes. So you go up to, and so I get your point though about, you know, with Aunt Joan, and you know, when I left Danco to go audition for Ailey, I think at that point for me, I just really wanted to see more of the world, and the company at that point wasn't traveling internationally, and it just, you know, a dancer's life is, excuse me, and a career is so short. So, you know, you got to make the best and the most of the time that you have, and you know, it's like anything else. You never know when it's going to end. It's like an athlete. You know, you've got to strike while the iron's hot, basically. Because as with myself, it can end at any moment, injury, whatever. And that's exactly what would happen. So you're with the Jamison Project. You're dancing beautifully. I saw you guys with the Jamison Project. The party at Aunt Joan's was also the first time that I met Michael Thomas, which
I need the whole thing. MLT,
to this day, we're still great friends. I mean, love me some Michael Thomas.
The whole thing, baby.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned Michael, because as I was digging through all those boxes, I found this, and I'm going to get ahead of myself, but I found this card from Michael that he wrote me from tour the year after I left.
Ah,
And basically he's like, I hope you're doing all right. I hope everything is okay. Because Danny, we talked about this before, that most people don't realize my contract was not renewed at Ailey, right? Which in the long run was a wonderful gift. I had spent 6 years with JJ. She again, much like JB, gave me so much and built my opportunities to grow as an artist. I mean, come on. When I was at the Jamison Project, I was the first male to dance the solo in Divining,
ah,
right?
listen up, kids.
And I didn't think I was ready for that, but she had a belief in me that
I
that
saw it.
that I was ready for that, right? And so,
Yes.
how can you be begrudging to someone who gives you those opportunities? And you know, I was at that point where I needed to fly a little bit. It was the best thing. It was really the
Yeah.
best thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I had such a great opportunity. I also, in my files of stuff digging, I found this letter of recommendation from Chaya when I left, right?
Yeah.
And he speaks about my being the company teacher, and people would take my class, and that I danced soloist roles in a variety of styles, and just, they sent me off with love and tenderness.
Yeah.
And there was a corner of my heart that was bitter about it, but
Sure.
those first 7 years, my wife is in here laughing at me. She's like, oh, poor, she's like, schlub that he is, right?
That's the realness. Okay.
Exactly. If you want feedback, ask your loved one, and they will give it to you straight, right? And if they won't, then you need to get another loved one.
Okay. So I'm glad you brought up, the Jamison Ailey connection, because as a lot of people know or don't know, so after Mr. Ailey passed, Ms. Jamison was named, artistic director of the Ailey Company, and she brought 6 of her Jamison Project dancers into the Ailey Company, and there was this period of transition, we'll say, right? It was not easy because obviously 6 current dancers at that time with Ailey were then let go, and she brought in her 6 dancers, and we were hearing in Philly,
all kinds of drama. All kinds of drama.
There was drama.
All kinds.
Wait.
Of drama, right?
Pause for a second.
I mean, listen, again, remember, I didn't audition for PHILADANCO.
No.
I did not audition for the Ailey Company.
Right.
I was in that sick group, and we were like, well, are the other ones coming? Are the other ones coming? Because we don't want to come without them, right? And there I am with the incomparable Judith Jamison and Renee Robinson in Forgotten Time, which was a work she created on the Jamison Project to the Le Mystère de Bulgaria, the Bulgarian women.
Still one of my favorite ballets of hers.
She brought that there, and that was a challenging time. A lot of people were really welcoming. Most people were welcoming, but some of the seasoned members made us prove ourselves. But you know me, I'm such a people person.
You are.
That it was like, okay, you gonna love me. You ain't got no choice. Right? What time you going to the bar? I'll meet you, right? You're gonna love me, right?
Yeah.
And so I just had such great experiences with seasoned veterans like Dudley Williams, who Dudley's been passed now for a couple of years, so you realize there's generations of dancers that don't even know his majesty and artistry, right?
Yeah.
But Dudley would say things like, "Oh, I love how you did that." Da 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 da. He said, we all steal from each other. I'm going to steal that, right? Or sharing the stage with the late great Gary DeLoach. And I remember saying to Gary one time, I said, "Ooh, when I do that, it hurts so bad." He looked at me, he said, "Well, doll, don't do it."
I mean,
right?
The fact that, I followed you, I guess, the following year or 2 years later, whatever it was. So I joined Ailey in 91. So you had already been in the company.
Yeah, you came the next year.
The following year, that's
with
right.
Michael Thomas, Roger Bellamy, Troy Powell, Matthew Rushing. That was a big crew that came in that year.
No, actually, no. The year that I got it was just me, Troy, Michael Thomas, and Lenny Meek was coming back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the others came the following year.
Right. But I just remember, having heard the drama that you guys went through, because we were hearing all the drama down in Philly. I felt like the fact that I didn't get into the Jamison Project that year, and then had to then audition to get into Ailey, kind of protected me a little bit. But what also protected me, even though, yes, as yourself, I felt very welcome. I mean, and Sarita's still watching, but like Sarita was one of the first people that embraced me. But just having you there, the two Debbies, Debbie Chase and Debbie Manning, our Philly girls, Gary DeLoach. Oh,
David
Gary.
St. Charles.
David,
And
oh
David
my
is another
God.
one. He had that Danko man thing, right? I don't
Oh,
care what he was doing, falling out of or whatever, right? He was giving you man, baby. He was giving you
yeah.
man on the stage.
Like he did, and I felt like, and God rest his soul, and our love to Debbie.
I know.
But thanks, Sarita. She says, how could I not? But I just felt like I was home, and I felt like watching you all, within those walls, and it just felt like, we brought such a different element to the company at that time, and and then subsequently after me coming in, then Bernard Gaddis, and then Yuri
Mm-hmm.
Sands. I mean, so it's just, yes, Joan Brown trained so many of the greats. Yes, she did. She grew us up. Let's
She
be
did.
clear.
She did.
Joan
It's
grew us
funny.
up.
It's I had sent Judy text not too long ago about I had watched him. It was during the digital season, right? And they had aired him, and I had probably not seen him since it aired on PBS
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago, right? But there's this line he says in there about his roots were in the South. His roots were in the deep South and in the church and in the earth and in the something about the mud of the earth, right? And there's something about the way he said it just it totally resonated with me. I was like, I grew up in the South. I grew up in the church. I know what the dirt of the South is like. I know that experience, right? And here I am, 54 years old, just finally coming to an epiphany of what I knew what he was saying, right? It took that long, but I was saying all of that to say that I had sent the text to Judy to say I never had the privilege of working with Mr. Ailey, but I had the privilege of working with you,
Woo!
and your next generation carrying that message, right? And that's what I appreciated. And I had been thinking a lot about my great grandfather. My great grandfather lived to be 100 and almost 7 years old, and was like 6 years old until the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. So I have this history, a portion of me that I was reflecting on as I compare my experience to all those years of being in Danko and being in the Jamison Project. I will never forget the one and only time I met Mr. Ailey was at the Academy of Music, and the company was premiering. It was the same season I saw Vespers for the first time and had my mind blown,
Oh,
right?
Vespers.
They did Vespers, and I saw Speed. I don't know if you remember
Mm,
Jennifer Muller's work, Speed. Girl,
yeah.
Jonathan Risen the dancers tore that up. They killed it, right? And then they
Oh,
also did, that was the season I think he premiered for Byrd with Love, which was another great ballet.
mm.
And I was backstage and I met Mary Barnett, and I was with Gene, and Gene said, I want to introduce you to one of our dancers. And he looks at me in only the way that Mr. Ailey could speak. He says, I know you. I've heard
Ooh!
about you. He said, I've heard about you. You're that double soda boss, double tour boy. Right, all those many pirouettes. I've heard about you, right?
See?
Right. I was like, how did he hear? I don't know how he heard, right? And I just took that away, and it just, it brought that glow to my heart. And then I went
Yes.
out and I enjoyed the program as the Ailey dancers gave and gave, and that is one of the lessons I think that anyone who comes through the Ailey organization learns about
Yeah.
dance. Is about giving back. And it's not
Yeah.
about you in that moment. It's really about giving back. I
Yeah.
talked about my experience in Danko about being a man on the stage. I think the same was true of women. You were on the stage at Danko. One, you're going to learn how to be a woman because you had to have the hair right, Danny.
Oh,
You couldn't have your kitchen hanging, right? You were going to be presented
you
right.
know what? Check.
You would get red if your body hairs were not groomed, right? You had to be
Mm-hmm.
groomed. You better be smelling right. Have your lipstick right. Get your earrings. Have your little, right? You had those little rhinestone
So,
earrings.
yeah,
You had your hair done. So the women were
yes.
women, the men were men. And oh, by the way, we only had one intermission and you got stamina. You knew
Okay.
how to dance, right? You had
Yes.
stamina and there was only one cast. So it wasn't about,
Ooh.
oh, I think I'm gonna take tonight off. Who's the right? Who's on the cast? No, you were in. You got 5, 6 ballets. Danny, bless your heart, you'd be in everything on the program, honey. I was a little more blessed in that I didn't have to be in everything, but I would have my 4 or 5 ballets, right? I would have my 4 or 5 ballets. So you got stamina, and to this day, even with my fat COVID belly,
Oh,
I have stamina. When I go and do things, I have stamina.
yeah.
I have mental stamina,
Yeah.
right?
I
And
was
then,
talking about that last week because last week my great friend Shannon reversed the situation and interviewed me. And I was talking about, being in PHILADANCO. We laugh about it, Aunt Joan, grew us up, but it really taught you how to really dig into yourself and where you need to pull that strength from. Because just as Antonia was saying, by the last 2 or 3 years of my time with PHILADANCO, I was leading in probably 5 out of the 6 ballets. And I don't say that to brag, that's just what it was. And
mm-mm,
so, I really had to figure out how to, wait. First of all, you got to come out on that stage. You can't be the same person in each ballet.
mm-mm,
Okay, kids?
mm-mm, mm-mm.
You have to learn some acting. You can't just be out there throwing that leg up the same way in every ballet. So every ballet, whether it's by Elisa Monte, Tally Beatty, Kyle Abraham, whoever it is, apply yourself to that ballet and tell a different story. Because otherwise, I mean, in my mind, I was
Absolutely.
thinking the audience is going to get bored with me. They're going to get bored seeing my face come out there every single ballet if I don't bring
Hmm.
something different to each role, even if it's an abstract ballet. Because a lot of Jean Hill Segon's ballets, they were very abstract. They were just,
Oh, they came from the
they
soul.
were,
They came
right?
from the heart and soul. They came from deep within inside.
Yeah.
You had to just open yourself up to take that journey.
Yeah. And so I think by the time I got to Ailey, I was more than prepared to jump in, because I remember when I auditioned that last and final time before I got in, and I remember I was we were down to the last 2 girls in the audition, and Judy sat us down and she asked me how old I was, and I was just turning 22, I think. And I remember she popped her head up, like, I think she had been seeing me over the years, and like,
Hmm.
you're
Thought
only
maybe you were older.
22.
Right, you were older.
I had to be, what I'm saying? I had to bring maturity to those roles. I mean, my first season, I was doing Umbrella. So, just don't go out there thinking that your line and your technique is enough. That's boring. I'm sorry. It's
Well,
boring.
I don't know if you saw my post. Somebody had posted that beautiful picture of Sarita from the layout, which is a term no one uses anymore. She was in that
Okay.
layout from Treading, right?
Ah,
And my post was something like, you'll notice it's not 10 pirouettes. It's not a 6 o'clock a la seconde. It is pure artistry that
yep.
that you see transcended through that picture.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you do the same thing. I see all these clips on Facebook and Instagram, and I like the kids be like, "Ooh," right? And
Ah,
they can do all this stuff, and I go, it was our generation of dancers that, we had Misha's the generation behind me, and then he influenced a whole generation of dancers, right?
mm-hmm.
Whether it was in modern or ballet in America or Europe, he influenced this level of artistry that we took it technically to this place, but it wasn't all about the technique. And so
Yeah.
now we've got this generation of dancers who, it's like the technique seems so effortless that you're waiting for them to place the artistic thing
Yeah.
on top of it, right? So that's
And let's
one
be
piece.
clear, like, today's dancers, I don't know what is in the water these days, but it seems like everybody's got like 6 o'clock.
They all look like they were trained at the Peking Opera, where they like tie your feet and your legs up at night or something. I don't know.
It's a baking opera.
It's true. You know, or like
But all I'm saying is,
they all
though,
came from the school of the Mariinsky Theater Ballet
right,
or something.
right. So you putting your leg about all these Instagram accounts, and listen, I don't want us to sound like we're like some old fogies putting down the youngins. That's not about it. That's not it. But everybody anymore has got phenomenal stretch, phenomenal technique, blah, blah, blah. It's all great. That really
That's a
is all
given.
great.
That's a
But
given.
please bring some story with you. Please bring something else, you know, because otherwise it just
Well,
looks like,
and that's a great point, Danny, and I appreciate that you said that. For anyone that may view this it subsequently or that's seeing it now, we're not bashing.
no.
What we're saying
I
is,
love the kids, honey. I love the babies out here. I love
what
my babies.
what we're saying is, what is going to make you special? What is going to make you stand out? And I circle this back to the Ailey experience. The Ailey
Yes.
experience really grooms the individual.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what Mr. Ailey was interested in, and he was not interested in cookie cutter dancers, right? So, what are you gonna if you're in that audition, right? Okay, so you might whip out an extra pirouette, or you might hold that balance a little longer,
But everybody is now.
right? But everybody is. So, what is going to be that
Mm-hmm.
je ne sais quoi, right? That's going to.
Yeah. You know what? I'll tell you one thing though. Listen, if I was in today's dancing world, I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't have a
not
job.
be there.
I wouldn't have a job.
Cause you know, I
I'll be
couldn't
doing
turn worth
lights.
shit.
I'll be
Remember
doing
my little
lights.
wait. Remember my little pirouettes, Antonio? You know I couldn't turn. I couldn't turn worth shit.
I think it was some internal fear. That's all. It wasn't about that you couldn't do it. There was an internal fear, right?
So I will never forget the one time it was after company class, and you know, the crew was getting the stage ready for the show, whatever. Everybody had gone off stage to go do their makeup or whatever, have a smoke. And I was always after company class doing the diagonal tombe pas de bourrée, working on my little turns. And I don't know what magical universe moment opened up, and I hit 6 turns in a row, and I landed it, and I looked around like, did
anybody see
did
that?
anybody see it?
Did anybody get that on videotape, right? Because these days we would have it on videotape. Because we'd be playing it on Instagram.
I could barely squeak out too.
But see, that's what I mean. It was an internal fear about
Oh my
how do I make
God.
this happen. I had dreams about turning at night. When I have often had dreams of turning and jumping and flying. I would have
Yeah.
these dreams of flying. So to me, dance
Mhm.
was about that. What else you got on that paper, girl?
Oh, right. So, all right. So, Ailey, were there? So you danced obviously a lot of beautiful roles with Ailey. Were there any roles that you didn't get to do that you wish you would have danced? Oh,
There are
tell
two. No, there are two. I would have loved to have done I Want to Be Ready. And I don't know if you remember that last performance we did in Japan. I actually did third. So my last performance with Ailey, right? I can't remember what the opening ballet was, but I know, no, the opening ballet was Winter in Lisbon, and I danced the pas de deux with Renee that night. That was a parting gift because you know Chaya did all the casting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me gifts that night. I had the pas de deux with Renee that night, and I had done the pas de deux with Kathleen. I had done the pas de deux with Linda. I had done the pas de deux with Tony.
Tony, yes.
I feel like
You guys are
no,
beautiful
yes, right.
together.
And then I had only done it maybe once with Renee. So I got to finish with Renee, and that night I did Revelation, third variation, Centerman. I did all because Chai cast me in all three of those. I think he was trying to kill me or something, right? So I did third, which was the one, you know, I always love second the most or first,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But it was fine. So I Want to Be Ready. I would have loved to have done I Want to Be Ready. And I would have loved to dance A Song for You.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, I don't have any qualms. Come on, listen. I got to do Lake in the River. I got to do
Oh,
Falls in the River. I got to do Fix
yes.
Me Jesus with multiple
Yes.
partners. I mean, I had
So
multiple
beautiful.
partners. I had Linda for Fix Me. I had Donna for Fix Me. I had Elizabeth for Fix Me. I think I even had a couple of Fix Me's with Sarita. Right. I mean, so
Yes.
I can't complain in terms of revelations.
Yes.
Um, Pot Duke I got to do.
Yes. I remember that. Oh my God.
Leeds and Judy's ballets. I got to do one of those couples in Memoria. I mean, I have lots of great
Oh,
memories in terms of what I got to do.
Memoria has got to be one of,
I can still hear the strings. Dun.
yo, when, dancing Memoria. I mean, I don't know about you. I can't because my mind is all fuzzy, but I do. I mean, from the gray section, which is like the, the core, I guess, part, right? Um, Dancing Memoria has probably been one of the best gifts in my life. Playing the ghost pink to the lead woman.
Hmm.
And like you just said, it's like partnering, but not. But I got to do that role with Sarita in the lead, Elizabeth in the lead, Tony Pierce in the lead. I mean, that ballet,
It moves you.
oh,
It moves
that
you.
movement,
It moves you.
dun, 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 and it was just so much to it. It was everything.
But I got a funny joke. You know, you just said the gray, the people in the gray, right? See, when we take Memoria on the road, gray is the low part. But when you
Hmm.
do the city center season, there's actually the part with the kids in the flesh tone. You remember
Yeah.
them? Right?
Hmm.
The boys are wearing the trunks. Okay, so moi, look at me, girl. Look at me in my eyes.
I can't.
I did the kitty part, right? In fact, it was my first year with Ailey, and we were in Denmark. No, we were in Aarhus filming Three for Alvin. It was a tribute to Alvin. They did it's that famous all that episodes footage is from that trip. They filmed
Mm.
episodes. They filmed for Byrd with Love. They filmed Marilyn Banks doing Witness,
Yes.
right? Doing Jesse Norman. And then we did a full length Memoria with David St. Charles and Gary were the men in purple, and April Barry was the
Ah,
lead, right? And so they brought in all these Danish dancers. And then it was a few of us, it was like Jonathan Risley and myself and a few, whoever was, coming back. We did the parts. So somewhere on a video is us doing the people in the flesh color, right? And then
oh,
then I got to progress to the gray, and then I got to do one. I don't even remember what color I wore. It was a hug. Those costumes are hideous, but I always enjoyed dancing. It really. I still listen to the music at least probably once a month.
yeah. And you saw the recent article with the composer,
I know Keith
what's it?
Jarrett.
Keith Jarrett.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking.
Heartbreak.
And I think I'd even responded on that post that
Yeah.
we saw him in Spoleto Festival when we were down there playing in Spoleto in Charleston and got to hear him. He was phenomenal. He just
So if you guys don't know,
breathtaking.
Keith Jarrett had a stroke recently, and it has rendered him unable to play. And it's just heartbreaking when, like myself who's gotten injured and couldn't dance anymore, at least at that level, to not be able to do your craft it's devastating. So, but I do want to ask you about, because this, look, we are 90 minutes in and
We're
I
gonna have to
haven't
wrap this
added
up.
to.
We have to wrap this up and schedule a part two.
I know we do. I know we do. But I do want to ask you quickly, because you are one of the founding members of Complexions Contemporary Ballet, and but also composing, you know, which I didn't realize from your bio, like 30 different scores, to different works of music, choreography. And so we are definitely going to have a part two, because this has been unbelievable. There's so much more I want to talk to you about. Maybe around your birthday, we can do a part two, because that's
Oh,
coming
let's
up.
let's wait till the new year. Let's wait till the new year.
Oh,
But in terms of, I will say this about Complexions and my brothers, Dwight Road, my brothers from another mother, Dwight and Desmond, DR squared,
yes.
is even after, because we spent the next 7 years closely knitted together. Desmond went off to Frankfurt and would come back and forth. And then there was that period he was also with ABT after that. And I did a lot of work with Donald Byrd, the group, during that time. And then Dwight was heading up another group called Celebration of Dance with Daniel Bowden Distill, who had come from ABT. And that was kind of like how I was putting food in my mouth. You know, how I make a living. I was teaching. I was doing different things. Meanwhile, 7 years of just, we're going to make this baby grow. We're going to make this baby grow. We're going to do this. And I know it sounds weird, and I don't want it to sound morbid, but I truly mean it. We were so in sync in terms of our thought process and our desire to do work.
Well, Dwight just said you were really the third director. I love that.
Thank you, Dwight. I appreciate that. Listen, this is how in sync we were. Our mothers all died 1 year apart. I lost mine. I believe Dwight lost his, and then Desmond's. And I wasn't even working with them, right? So our lives were so enmeshed and so intertwined. And you know, Dwight and Desmond and I could tell you some stories. We were like, if we had to read one more bad critic or listen to somebody tell us that we couldn't do what we could do, and you know, it's like, what? Dwight's creating ballets, Desmond's dancing all over, he's doing this, he's creating, he's co-creating. I'm writing music. I started writing music for dances when I was 29 years old. It wasn't like I had done it before, right? But the breadth of work that we were doing it, and the sheer energy, the level of energy and commitment and investment.
People weren't ready. These
they
racist
weren't.
ass, I'm gonna say it because I know Dwight and I have talked about this. These racist ass critics that think that ballet is supposed to look a certain way and be a certain way. Dwight is bringing it and still bringing it, you know. So all those reviewers.
No, it's a great example because, you know, for instance, we did the piece on Dance Theater of Harlem, and the critics actually loved it. It was like they acted like it was the best thing we ever did in the world. And Dwight will tell you, Lord have mercy, that process of creating that piece up there, that was, that's when I started getting this gray hair, right? And the score turned out, and the ballet turned out, but it was a process. And then the following year, we do a piece on Ailey Chocolate Sessions, and I love the music and I love the movement, and it was like the process of working with the dancers like hand in glove. And then the critics acted like, oh, you know, it was okay. It wasn't as good as the piece they did for Dance Theater Harlem. I'm like, they're two totally different things. They have nothing to do with each other.
Right.
Why alienate the audience? That's how I always felt like there were critics who were trying to alienate the audience, who did not want us to. Well, let's just put it this way. We've talked about this. This ain't no secret. They wanted us jucking and shiving and skinning and grinning.
Say it again for the people in the back.
They wanted us shucking and jiving and skinning and grinning. And how dare we be on how dare we be on the cutting edge of something new? Because let's be honest, the boys are stuck in there. DR Squared is stuck in there. They're getting ready to celebrate 26. The next year will be 27. And if the work that Complexions has produced has not inspired a whole swath of the dance world, because I look at choreographers now and I'm like, where did all that come from? Because they used to do that. They're like, right? So they're much more adventurous and much more risk-taking than they ever were. But a lot of that was because of the work that was taking place with Dwight. Yes, there were some others on the cutting edge. You know, Donald Byrd's work fed us, and Alonzo King's work fed us. But in terms of high-profile work, right? Yeah, there wasn't a lot of that going on.
No, in fact, I think that was the last time we saw each other in person. Was the anniversary, 25th.
The 25th, that's right.
Oh, how fun was that?
We had a blast.
Christina Johnson, come on. Seeing everybody, that was awesome. It was equally as wonderful as it was depressing to see that Desmond still can dance. You know, Desmond's only 3 years younger than me, right? I look at him, I'm like, dang, I just really threw it all out the window. I don't know, it's like scary. How much do we love Desmond? And you guys are a day apart, your birthdays, right? 14, 15?
We are.
I'll never forget that.
Dwight is 3 years older than me, and I'm 3 years older than Desmond. Yeah, he'll be 60
Please,
before
can
me.
we
Yeah,
do?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah.
you probably have to do dinner with your family and everything else. This has been so amazing, and seriously, kids, I haven't even barely touched the questions that I had for this beautiful gentleman before me. But I love you so much, and this has filled me up so much. I can't even. Dwight's like,
The
listen.
cat's out the bag. He can't look young.
Once you hit 50, whatever, all bets are off.
You just ride it. You enjoy it. You do what you
So
can.
I don't know if I'll be able to save this to my IGTV because it's gone past the hour limit, but I will definitely see if I can upload this to my YouTube channel, and so I can share this with people once we finish here. But this has been amazing. We've definitely got to do a part 2 in the new year, maybe post inauguration. And
which is another gift. When I was in the Ailey company, we got to dance at Bill Clinton's inauguration. I have so many great memories. No, Danny, listen, seriously, it has been an honor to be amidst the individuals that you've had a chance to do your IG interviews with, and I deem it a great privilege. I am humbled by the opportunity to do it. I hope that somebody out there, it warmed their heart up. I hope that those who will get a chance to see it later on will be encouraged in some way. And I would leave you with this parting thought. Continue to see what it is that you want, and really believe in your ability to make that happen. And then you can achieve it. You can make it happen. It's really that simple. You figure out what it is you want to do, and you say, hey, what are the barriers? And then what are the pros? What can really make this happen? And then you work on removing the barriers.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, I love you. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy we had this time. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm actually interviewing Dwana next week.
Oh, sweet.
Miss Dwana Smallwood. And if you guys haven't yet, please, she's trying to save her school in Brooklyn. So Dwana Smallwood is raising money to keep her school open during these crazy, awful times. So if you have anything to spare, please, Dwana Smallwood School in Brooklyn, please, please, please. Any amount obviously is appreciated. I'll actually, since we didn't have anything here to link, I'll link it in my bio.
I was just going to say, please post it in the link.
I will.
Because we want to support her, because I know.
Antonio Carlos Scott, I love you, my brother. This was awesome. Love to you and your family.
And all of
happy
my
early
love
birthday.
to you.
I'm sure we'll be social media-ing.
All my love to you. And again, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm sending you a big virtual hug. And to
this was great. All for watching. I think this is probably, honestly, I think this is probably the most watched show I've done since I started this journey. But thank you all for your comments. This has been great. And
you
Antonio,
keep up
love to you.
You keep up the good work, my dear. I love you too. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Have the best evening possible.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.